Wisconsin and Illinois. Amber Wilson, Jonathan Zaslow have the college football tailgate tour here tomorrow as well. So that is going to be a great 24 hours, 48 hours for everybody here in Wisconsin, Illinois. Our two schools going head to head. And we're having fun in Madison. CC on Baby Watch in the window, as I say.
Yep.
In the window.
We're in the window, guys. Yes, let's go.
In the window.
I don't care what doctors say. I mean, I do care what doctors say. Don't take that. Wait, hold on. Don't take that out of context.
We believe in science on this show, Ev.
No,
we love science. We love doctors. We love medical professionals.
Okay, I shouldn't have had that dramatic pause. Whatever the doctor says, I believe CC is taking the right approach, because to me it's like 2.5 months of the window in my head of like, I can't be anywhere but around my wife, around doctors, around hospitals when that potentially could happen.
Yeah. Yep.
And you're in that 2.5 month window. Less than that, actually, right?
Yeah, and we have a doctor's appointment today, by the way.
There you go.
Wait, why did you say it that way? Are you sensing earlier than the original date?
I'm just saying.
That was a tease, it sounded like.
It's week 34, Ev.
He does it like an NFL season. In week 34, they always tell you that's when the season starts.
When you get to this stage, ain't no more bye weeks, okay? There's no, like...
That's such a perfect way of saying it.
We find out who the true contenders are.
Yeah, this is...
No backups.
We're gearing up for the playoffs. We're gearing up for the postseason. Like, it's time to go.
The big game is around the corner.
The stakes are the greatest, right? Like, this is it, man.
There was a lot of talk. Trade deadline was Saturday, excuse me.
There is no trade deadline for my kid, Ev.
Hold on. I was getting somewhere. Trade deadline was Saturday. A lot of people thought they were going to trade for me based on being at the Canty family baby shower. But Schefter had it. They were down to the last minute. They did not make a trade. So Chris is still in the mix here. But a lot of people thought that it was going to be me potentially as part of the family. Maybe I would have been the baby nurse. I don't know what my role would have been, but they tried to get me, and they did not. Also, just to clarify one thing, because there's been something lingering here, Smalls and I a little bothered with one Nuno Miguel Beirera Teixeira for ditching us at dinner last night.
That's right. And by the way, he should be mad at himself because he missed out on an incredible meal.
Yeah, I agree. He went to, I don't know where he went, some dive bar, I guess, which is fine.
And I love a dive bar.
Yeah, dive bars are great, but not when you have the opportunity to go to the big dinner that we went to with ESPN Madison, and shout out to the team for taking us out last night.
Well, that just goes to show that
I don't invite myself. No, it's Canty. I do not invite myself to places that I wasn't invited to. So when I look at the list of the attendees, but Zaz ended up being on the list of the attendees. My name was not on there, so I made plans with the regular folk that were around.
That's a legitimate defense, Ev. How you going to be the host and bring the whole team out to your set and then don't invite the producer?
I didn't.
Great question, Cece.
First of all, I didn't arrange the dinner.
It doesn't matter if you didn't arrange the dinner. Who went to school in Wisconsin? Why is the show there? Because of you. How are you going to bring the entire team out to the Midwest and then not make sure that Nuno's name is not on the list for the dinner that you weren't paying for, that you pawned off on somebody else?
Yeah, leaving him out in the cold, and it is cold here.
Two things can be true now that you guys are walking me through it. Retroactively, it was a bad job by me not ensuring that Nuno was there. That's a bad job. I apologize for that. You're right about that. I also don't think Nuno wanted to go.
No, he definitely didn't.
So,
because that would require him to hang out with us longer.
Doesn't matter.
And later.
Doesn't matter.
Would you have gone if you were invited?
Yeah, I would. I would have done my my duties. Yeah, I would have gone.
I'm gonna produce. I would. Yeah. See, that's not what we were looking for.
He would have showed face.
Exactly.
But the fact that he wasn't there is an embarrassment on you, Ev. How could you not invite him?
Actually, Canty, I think people like Michelle way more than they like Ev anyway. So I think, like, when we do these trips, it's all about Michelle. It's not about Evan.
That's fair.
Oh, today there was a freaking greeting line for Nuno. Ben Wittes, who's the market manager at ESPN Madison, put this whole thing together. Smalls and I walk in, he's like, hey, how you doing? Nuno! I'm like, what? Nuno? Why do you care that he's here? It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
Okay.
Very into seeing Nuno.
So you're the star at Canty's baby shower, and Nuno is the star at your alma mater.
And at our game, where our two teams are playing. Very odd, very odd. Okay, so the talk around here, Badgers obviously, but Wisconsin is a Packers state, as we know.
Yep.
You're a Packers fan. Packers Vikings. Going into the season, we're like, oh, that's going to be a big game. Then there were different parts of the season where you're like, I don't know about that. Now it's back to being a big game, Smalls, and it's on ESPN Radio on Sunday with your squad, the Green Bay Packers, at 6-3-1 against the Minnesota Vikings at 4-6 with all the questions around J.J. McCarthy. is this a game that you've been saying a lot this year? I want not only a win, I want like the runaway win. I want to win by 20, feet up, fourth quarter kind of thing. No, seriously, you've been saying that a bunch.
Am I the A.J. Brown of this show?
Like, yeah, winning is not good enough for you with the Packers. Yes, that is true.
Am I the A.J. Brown of unsportsmanlike?
So
wins are not enough. I want it to look a certain way. I want it to be dominant.
Yes.
Well, this is another game where I do want a dominant win, especially a dominant division win. As we're in the window. Cece's in the baby window. We're in the window right now where this is where teams really start to separate themselves. And the Packers have a 71.9% chance to win this game versus Minnesota. The game is at Lambeau Field, even though with the way the Packers have been this season, I don't know if you could take any stock in games at Lambeau, which is crazy to say. But it is a home game. It's an inferior opponent on paper. J.J. McCarthy has been erratic, to put it kindly, so far this season. You don't know where you're going to get out of him snap to snap. And I just really want to see the Packers, even with the injuries that they sustained, be able to come out and have a game where we walk away from it feeling like we did when we walked away from that Thursday night football game versus the Commanders in Week 2. They have so many of the pieces in place. We know what they're capable of. We keep saying, just wait. The back half of the season, that's when Jordan Love becomes elite. Just wait. This team is going to round into form. I'm sick of waiting. I'm ready to see them be dominant. But first and foremost, I want to see a win.
It's going to be hard for them to be dominant with Josh Jacobs banged up from that MetLife turf. So we'll have to see what happens with his status and what the state of the run game is for the Green Bay Packers. That's going to be interesting. But just taking a 30,000 feet view at this particular matchup, I don't remember a lot of games this season where we pointed to them and said, it's a must win for one team and it's a can't lose for the other team. But it feels like that's the case with this matchup in Week 12 between Vikings and the Packers. If Minnesota wants to get back into this thing and try to make a run at getting to the postseason, then they got to have this game. Their playoffs start this week. If you're the Green Bay Packers, after all the bad losses that you've had this season, there's no way you can drop this game to J.J. McCarthy going into his sixth start. A quarterback that has thrown an interception in each of the first 5 starts of his NFL career. There's no way you can lose this game. There's just no way. Both quarterbacks are going to be front and center in this matchup, and both of those guys have something to prove for various reasons. If you're Minnesota, you want to see something from J.J. McCarthy that gives you conviction that you found your franchise quarterback. You don't want to have to be looking over your shoulder and looking out there and seeing what else could potentially be available because you don't trust what you can get from J.J. McCarthy and whether or not he'll ever develop to realize the potential that you saw in him when you used the first-round pick to draft him. On the other sideline, you got Jordan Love, a quarterback that a lot of people are caping for, but a guy that has some plays throughout every single game that leave you scratching your head. A guy that every now and again misses some reads when it comes to wide-open receivers. There's a lot for both of these quarterbacks to prove in this particular matchup, and I'm going to be fascinated to watch it all play out.
Cece, your comments triggered a few thoughts for me here, just quickly here, because we got to get to I'm over. But one thing that I was thinking about, opportunity cost. You talk about a lot prior to this year, because Caleb is now worked out, the opportunity cost of the Bears passing on different guys, doing different things at the quarterback position, right? We associated them with passing on Jaden Daniels, passing on Drake May, retroactively passing on C.J. Stroud when they chose to trade out of that pick. You know, the Minnesota Vikings, if they lose this week, which they should to the Green Bay Packers, are likely trending towards a top 10 pick in the draft. How many guys are they going to pass on at the quarterback position? Both guys that were in their building like Darnold and Jones and guys that they could draft, that we start, if J.J. McCarthy doesn't work out, that we look at the opportunity cost of sticking with J.J. McCarthy. Just something to keep an eye on long term, but it triggered a thought when you were just saying that. All right, coming up, I'm over.
We're a dozen weeks in. Week 12. NFL picks, no international games, 4 teams on byes, including the Broncos and the Chargers in the AFC West. We've got Colts Chiefs on CBS. Looking at the other 1 o'clock games, 3 of them involving 3 NFC North teams. The Packers, home against the Vikings. Lions, home against the Giants. That's a double-digit number. And you want a bigger number? How about the Seahawks? Upset, coming off that loss to the Rams poor Titans will get them in Nashville. 1 o'clock Eastern time. We'll start it with the Green Bay Packers starting a very important stretch of 3 consecutive games in the division with Minnesota.
Well, they're getting a quarterback in Minnesota that's not playing very well. They have a quarterback problem. J.J. McCarthy was awful last week, and mechanically, he's really bad. When you put the tape on him, he's just not setting his feet, and he's throwing off the back foot. It just doesn't look comfortable. And right now, Minnesota has to be concerned about where they are. You saw some frustration from Justin Jefferson last week. You don't usually see that from him. And so I think that's building, and that makes this an enormous game for the Vikings. I mean, the bottom line is they let guys, Sam Darnold, go. Daniel Jones was in the building. They tried to keep him, but they didn't get to keep him, and now you're stuck with J.J. McCarthy. And so he's got to play better. Everybody always says, well, it's only a couple games for him. Well, the time is now. You know, the time is that you built this thing around him. He's your guy. So he has to play better. But I think this is a tough spot for them. I really do.
Jason, Blake Bortles, Zach.
I mean, look at that group. Look at that group you're in there with. I mean, come on. It's a who's who of who you don't want to be. And so at the quarterback position. So I think he needs to pick it up. I just think this is a really tough spot for them. The flip side is on the other side, the Packers haven't played their best football yet. They really have not. Not in any way, shape, or form. They have not played their best football. There's been injury problems. There's been issues. But what we saw last week was we saw the quarterback take over again, and he needed to. Josh Jacobs got hurt, and you never want to see a guy get hurt. But the running game shouldn't be the emphasis with the Green Bay Packers. They should be throwing the football, and I think they're another team that I say let it loose. We saw that a couple weeks ago against the Eagles. They didn't let it loose. This game, they will let it loose. And when you face that Flores defense, you can't just line up and run the football. You have to run it, but you have to be able to hit those shot plays down the field, and I think they will. I'm going to take the Packers.
I love what you said there about the Packers and their game plan against Flores. You have to fight fire with fire a little bit, particularly against an aggressive play caller like that in Minnesota. But to your point about the Green Bay Packers, this was a team that at the beginning of the year, you, me, Chris, a number of people were like, they have to be one of the most complete football teams in the National Football League. And you go to the locker room after the first few weeks, and some of those guys are like, we should be able to win every game. Well, you've let some really bad teams hang around. You let some bad teams beat you. This is the kind of game you have to dominate for 4 quarters. And let Minnesota leave that stadium going, what the hell was that? Who the hell were those guys? That's what the Packers need to do to have success. And to your point, a lot of weapons there. Jordan Love, just find a way to get them the ball.
You know, we forget the Packers are still one of the youngest teams in the league, much like when we talk about the Panthers, the up and down. You know, you win a big game and you lose to Carolina at home. It shouldn't happen, but they're still one of the youngest teams in the league. They just need to get away from that. They need to start building games, winning games, and, you know, riding that into the
Find
postseason.
the same belief they had in weeks 1, 2, 3, and just roll
against good
with that.
teams.
Roll
when you
with
play
that.
good teams, play that way and you'll win games.
Well, they have the Vikings this week and then the Lions next week on that Detroit Thanksgiving game. And the Lions right now, the first team out of the playoffs, but a good get-right game here, you would think.